Hey guys, what's going on? Kulprit here, and I wanted to talk about some of the things that interest me about Battlefield 4. As we see now, the dust is settling from E3, that information overload is starting to kind of sink in, we're starting to be able to decipher some of the things. And today, one of the things I wanted to talk about was one of the most, I hesitate to say like controversial things, one of the most interesting things I saw popped up that I didn't really expect, and I'm still kind of confused on because there's been no official statement, and that's the ammo pool / mag pool thing we saw. As some of you maybe who didn't know, or some of you do know, I'm sure, in the E3, the stream where they let the people on the floor play and they streamed it for everybody, we would see that when you would reload your magazine, you would discard whatever ammo was in that mag. So if you're like me and you're a compulsive reloader, this was bad news, although I feel like I could train myself to do it fine. But if you, say, had 10 rounds left in a magazine, you're about to be in a bigger gunfight, and you wanted to reload to a full mag, you would lose those 10 rounds. You would discard that old magazine, and then you would just have a brand new magazine. So in essence, you would chew through your ammo very quickly. Now, obviously, right off the bat, a lot of things come to mind. This is going to put a priority on the support class and things like that, but I'm hesitant to even dive in that deeply because we're really not sure. We've heard that this was a bug. This isn't actually how it's going to be, but I've yet to see actual, official confirmation that this is either a bug or this is planning how they're going to go in that route. So until we know for certain, I thought it would be fun to let's just talk about it, the pros and cons of each way, and how I thought they should go, and what I find interesting about it. So first, let me just intro the video. This is a little TDM on Iron Shield. Is that the name? That is the name of this map. It's been a long time since I played this map. It's actually one of my more favorite TDM maps. It's also a map I think Hold the House, a little kind of game 008 plays amongst themselves. We should try on this map. It would probably be pretty fun. But yeah, it's always fun to kind of pop on these maps I don't play very often. I'm actually starting to get the juices to play BF3 quite a bit now. I guess it's all the footage I'm seeing in BF4. Want to get some of the rust off, so look for some new stuff, maybe some streams, that type of thing coming up in the near future. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm going to start doing a sort of a road to BF4 type series where I'm going to talk about some of the more interesting topics that we now know about, and maybe kind of, talk about some of the things we suspect that might be going on. So today's just the start of kind of a mini-series. It won't be daily, but instead of trying to bring you like the first video up on any new topic, because we know I can't do that any longer, or at least right now, I'm going to try to go a little more in depth on things and give you a little more insight and analysis if I can. And so today, like I said, we're going to talk about the ammo system. Now, as we know in Battlefield 3, it was a general ammo pool. You had magazines, you reloaded, you took whatever that magazine, which was usually 30 rounds, and plus one obviously, and it would deduct from your overall ammo, and you would have a new magazine, no loss of ammo there. So now it looks like, at least what we saw with our eyes, is that is no longer the case, and you will discard the extra ammo that was in your gun when you put in a new magazine. This, of course, and I hesitate to throw the R word around, this, of course, is obviously a little more realistic. It's going to force quite a bit more discipline, and like I said, it's a bad news for me. I am a compulsive reloader. It's one of my worst habits that I've brought over from COD. I've gotten a little bit better. Up until this point, it hasn't really hurt me that bad. Every now and then I get caught with my pants down, obviously, but I've learned to know when and when not to reload, and any chance I had to reload, it always made sense to reload. Why not? You always want to have a full magazine. I'm kind of a guy that's always kind of rushing and getting into multiple enemy type fights, so I always wanted as much ammo as I possibly could. This would really kind of curb that, and one of my biggest concerns, and I'm going to get into why I like this system and where I think it has a lot of potential, but one of my biggest concerns that jumps off at me is I'm afraid that it would slow the gameplay down. And it's been pretty clear that DICE is going towards the Call of Duty crowd, which one of the biggest obvious complaints we hear from that demographic of players is that Battlefield 3, Battlefield 2, and now Battlefield 4 is too slow. It's so slow. And now those of us that enjoy Battlefield, we know it's not too slow. Surely it's slower than COD, but I don't think that's a bad thing. But if we were to kind of instill this type of a system, I do feel that gameplay would slow down dramatically. Now you're going to have that decision of, I have a 10 rounds in my... if I got 1 or 2 rounds, you're not going to care. You're going to reload. But what if you got 10, 11, 12 rounds in your magazine? That's too much to just throw on the ground. Maybe you don't have a support guy in your unit. I want to use it, but I can't. I want to run in a building, but I really shouldn't. These type of decisions, which are good decisions, don't get me wrong. I'm a big proponent on decisions in games. You should be able to. You should be forced to make a lot of decisions. I think that helps the better player separate himself. But in this case, I think it would cause people to play slower, rely on cover more, try to camp more. And in that case, you can't really get on someone if the gameplay mechanics are telling you to camp. So I think in general, as for the general populace of the player base, I don't think this would be a good idea. Now, I think if they were to do this, let me just be clear. I think the general ammo pool, where you just have a set max ammo or set max bullets, and your magazines just take out of that well, I think that's the best way to go for the most people. For me, and why I find this system interesting, and what I hope they do is make this an option. A lot of people have said maybe keep this in hardcore. I don't, and I'll just touch on this real quickly, I don't see a need for the hardcore game mode anymore. I think they should just make everything on a server side toggle, and you could create your own presets of game modes. You want to make hardcore, you can just go ahead and reproduce that. If you want to tweak things, like I would enjoy a hardcore, but without the 60% health. I think that's, honestly, I think that's silly. But, this way people could have their own server, make their own game modes. Go for it. Have fun. And I would love to see this be an option like that, and I would definitely experiment with it and play with it. Because I do think it would add a lot more layers and a lot more element of strategic play, tactical play, things I covet. I mean, I think, first of all, they would have to not just discard the ammo. You would have to be able to keep that ammo. So if you reload, say, a 10-round magazine for a new 30-round magazine, I'm just going to use nice round numbers here, don't jump on me. Say you have a maximum ammo pool of 150 rounds, that would be 5 30-round magazines. That's what you start with. And it's not about how many bullets you have now. Now they need to give you a graphic of 5 magazines. They give you some kind of number of how many rounds are in each magazine. You start out with a full clip, or magazine, excuse me, and, you reload. So now that 10-round magazine goes back into your inventory, and now you have a fresh magazine. But you can see I have that half magazine there, and you should be able to, no matter how many times you hit R in the reload animation, you could cycle through your magazines. So if you want to plink at somebody from long range, or maybe you want to kill a piece of equipment, you can then use that half-full magazine because you're not really in any kind of threat. Whereas if you're about to rush into a building or kind of take on multiple enemies, you're going to want that full magazine and make sure you have that. So I think they need to give you the decision between which magazine you're going to load into your gun. That's first thing. Second thing, I think the most fun, well, I guess the second thing would be that this would obviously clearly place a priority on support. Every squad would thereby have to be started with a medic and a support. And then from there you could customize, but I think a support would have to be in every squad. It would have to be in every squad of mine, and I would seriously play a lot of support if that were the case, regardless of what weapons they use or anything like that, because there would be a clear value, a clear priority on having a support very close to you at all times, especially if you play like me with bad accuracy, who loves to rush and shoot a lot. But I think what it does really is it opens the door for so many different elements. And again, I've talked about this a little bit before, of loadouts and gear. I mean, now you can get into, now that you're a magazine-based system instead of just a bullet-based system, you can get into gear. Like, do you just go with a chest rig that, let's say, that's your standard loadout gear, and you can carry 5 magazines at 150 rounds, so that's it. That's standard. You got your standard mobility, standard movement speed, standard sprint stamina, that type of thing. Or maybe you drop down to more of a civilian loadout that can only carry 4 magazines, but you get a little increased movement speed and you get a little bit more sprint stamina. Or maybe you go the other end of the spectrum now and you want that, you're going to have the chest rig, which now can carry 7 or 8 magazines, so you're carrying more firepower with you. And you can put maybe a ballistic plate in there, so now you have reduced movement speed, obviously, because you're carrying more gear. This is the decision operators face every day. You're carrying more gear, so you're going to be slower. You're going to have less sprint stamina, but perhaps now, obviously, you have more rounds on you, and you have maybe even a little health or armor. I don't know what you want to call it, because you're carrying that ballistic shield. I mean, I'm getting into the nuts and bolts of it, and that's not really what's important, but you see where I'm going with this. There's just so many different elements that could be explored then with this, and I think it's something that I would really love to have seen Battlefield 4 get into. I don't think we're going to get there, clearly. We're not getting as deep as I would have liked from what I've seen as far as screenshots and gameplay. We're getting more customization, but we're not getting quite into the strategic layers that I wanted to, and I just think it would be fun, and whatever game does finally go there, I'm going to be really excited to play it, because I think, now you could keep your 4 base classes, assault, engineer, support, and recon, but you would have within those classes, you'd have different variations. You would have the fast flanker, you'd have the middle of the road standard utility guy, you would have your tankier guy with tons of firepower and a little more longevity, I guess you'd say, survivability. I would love these decisions. I mean, if I'm playing Rush and I want to go and I know I'm going into a building and I'm going to play Overwatch for my team who's going to be assaulting the MCOM, what have you, I'm going to go more tanky, make sure I've got those rounds and that survivability so I can provide more of an Overwatch. Whereas if I'm on a map, let's say Caspian, where I'm running around, I want to attack flags at will and just be really quick about it, a lot of open ground I want to get across, I'm going to go for the lighter loadout, more speed, more mobility, as opposed to rounds. And then, again, all the while adding a premium onto that teammate who's running support. So I just think there's a lot of potential to be explored there. I just, at the same time, I don't think as a general standard preset this is a good way to go for the entire player base. But I surely do hope we are going to see this as a toggleable option. I think would be the best way to go, and it would certainly be a way that I would enjoy. So there you go, guys. I talked about that for 10 minutes. I can't believe that. So let me know what you guys think. This was supposed to be a shorter video, but these are the types of things I love to talk about. This is the type of things, especially before the games come out, everything is kind of theory crafting and things like that. So definitely let me know what you think. Which way would you like to see them go? Just at the surface of it. Would you like to see the mag system, the mag pool system, where everything, you discard the rounds you don't use, or do you just prefer the general ammo well type thing where you just take from your overall cap or max bullets and you don't have to worry about things like that? I see the merit in both ways, and I don't think there's really a wrong answer. I think in the end, as Battlefield 4 comes to release, we're going to see a general, bullet well that you just reload down magazines from, and that's what we're going to get. So thanks a lot, guys, for listening. Look forward to more videos like this. Let me know with a like button and a comment if these are the type of topics you want me to take on, and I'd be happy to do them for you. Otherwise, guys, take care. Have a good day.